from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming, for making yourself available. It's really appreciated. I know we all rush and there's often no time for that. And what I see you, most of all, connecting with each other. And connection is what I want to focus on today. Not sure if you've seen this documentary on Netflix. It launched last year. Very short. There's a research done by this guy. His name is Dan Butner. So he does the research about. He identifies the places in the world, and these places are pretty scattered. They around the world, like Costa Rica, Japan, Sardinia. So he identifies those places in the world, and he finds this common denominator, in those places. The fact that people in these communities, they live much longer life, and actually not only longer life, but also much happier and much healthier life. And apparently the reason for that is the fact that people within those communities, they live very connected life. They live very closely with each other, they share lots of things, and there's this great sense of belonging to the community. And these two factors, they contribute solemnly to the longevity of these people and the well-being of these people. So why I'm talking to you about this today is exactly that I would love. This is exactly how I would love us to celebrate the women's today, by getting you together, by making sure you stay connected, you enjoy each other. And I do feel like very often we forget about this, and this is something we are so great at. Like this is in our core, but we run fast and we forget about let's make sure you stop and you connect or you reflect a little bit. And there's so much strength we can derive from it. So my wish today is for all of us to connect, to have a good time, to enjoy ourselves, and stay connected. And I was just asking myself, going back to this Blue Zone series, why don't we all take responsibility for each other, for individual responsibility to create such zones for ourselves? I think life would be a much better place. And I certainly can take this responsibility and do this thing for Blue Almonds. And I can see there's a lot of blue already, like blue zones, Blue Almonds. So maybe this is a message for me. But anyway, without further ado, I would like to introduce Rachael. Rachael, who is a great, fully qualified hypnotherapist, NLP coach, transformational breath coach. She's a great mind coach, and most of all, she's a dear friend to me. So I met Rachael a couple of years ago. We've started working together. Feel that magic with her today as well, where she will talk to you about a couple of interesting things. So enjoy, and just enjoy.
Thank you. Every breath you take, you are breathtaking if you choose to use that and think about the breathtaking nature of you. So one of the words I often think about is this sense of the phenomenal within us. So I'm just going to read you some statistics which blew my mind when I first thought about them. So please forgive me whilst I read. Would you ever think to describe yourself as phenomenal? No?
No.
Any of you?
No.
Any of you? Would you think to describe yourself as phenomenal?
I prefer magnificent.
Brilliant. Please, what's your name?
Samia.
Samia, please hold on to that for just a second because this is really relevant. So, when you look up the definition, and please forgive my glasses, when you look up the definition, when we use the word phenomenal, the first definition is it's perceptible by the senses or through immediate experience, the phenomenal world. And in psychological terms, the phenomenology that is you is the wholeness of you, okay? The second definition that you'll find is remarkable or exceptional, especially exceptionally good. Now, the example they gave in the dictionary, and I won't reference it now, is the town expanded at a phenomenal rate. According to Dr. Ali Benazir, the chances of you being born are, and this is where I really do need my glasses because there's like 7 numbers. The chances of you being born, what's your name, my love? Anita, the chances of you being born, and you, is 1 in 10 to the power of 2,640,000. Empowered and empowering women, and this is one of the ways that we begin to recognize the unique phenomenal nature, but in reality probably met only about 10,000, making the chance of your mum being in this 10,000 1 in 20,000. 1 in 10 chance they date for a while, and it's a coin toss as to whether or not they stay together long enough to have offspring. 4 million. Now it gets super interesting. Because if your mum produces 100,000 eggs, and we are in the fantastic reminder of that, but if your mum produces... But the result. We're in a newborn, a shop that looks towards very young children. So how much can I guarantee that the women coming will be mothers? And I couldn't. Then because I know Izza and I know some of her friends, and I know some of her business contacts as well, I was thinking, so should I delete the mum element and only work in the certain age group, or should I delete the certain age group and only work in the mum element? And I realized that actually I just wanted to bring it back to its very root. And that was just the pure phenomenal nature, whether you are a business person, a woman, a mother, not a mother, 100,000 eggs in her lifetime, and your dad produces 3 trillion sperm. What are the odds of the egg and the sperm coming together that made you, Samia, that made you, or that made Goshka, or that made Gudrun, you know, if...
Look at your memory.
I forgot that. Sorry. Laura. Thank you. So, let me come back. What are the odds of the egg and the sperm coming together that made you and not your brother or your sister? That's 1 in 400 quadrillion. How many of you have brothers or sisters? Okay. And yet, you were created. That 1 in 3 trillion sperm and 1 of 100,000 eggs came together at one particular time to create the helix that makes up you, not your brother, not your sister. Supremely unlikely and utterly undeniable chain of events, namely that every one of your ancestors lived to reproductive age, going all the way back to the very first Homo sapiens. 4 billion years ago. So that train of the first man and woman that came together to create, and I could go, I've got loads more numbers here, but that means the likelihood of you being born is as likely as the population of San Francisco, each of them having a 13-sided dice, all throwing that dice at the same time, and that makes you phenomenal, and it makes you phenomenal, and it makes you phenomenal, and it makes you phenomenal, and you, and every single one of you. As a human being I don't know about you, but every time I think about that figure, something in me just shivers. Times a day, I'll use a thought that somehow stops me from being phenomenal. And when I have a non-phenomenal thought about myself, or about the nature of my capacity, my possibility, I decide something for myself. And I move away from this opportunity to discover more about myself and what I'm capable of. Any of you?
So many.
So many. And the second we fix on a decision that we've made about ourselves, we strip ourselves of the right to discover what is phenomenally possible within ourselves. Now the interesting thing, and I generally don't like to go to further this incredible human race. I think because of that, we are designed to put ourselves more in other people's shoes, to consider other people's needs. But in doing that, sometimes we also find ourselves comparing. And we race with other people. As I say, we're not comparing eggs with eggs. We're almost always coming from an insecure place. So how empowered does that make us as a woman? They might have about themselves, or a disempowering or disabling thought they have of themselves.
Oh, not just me. I started doing some physical exercise. I thought I should really be working today. Yeah, that kind of stuff. You know, it's just never enough work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel? That thought, it's never enough, or there's never enough time? Or...
You're not good enough about yourself, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the feeling, the thought and the feeling is not good enough. And how does that make, and how does that then resolve towards the end of the day?
How did it resolve? Well, I think, it's a chain reaction, I guess, right? Because you engage with people, you engage with them in a certain way, and if you're not feeling good about it,
Feeling is not good enough. And then everything doesn't meet muster, my paraphrasing of you.
you know, there's just moments. But
Yeah.
if you would continue about that, you know, you're ending up in a lower place than you've started off, right?
Brilliant.
So you gotta snap
You
up.
delete anything about yourself. So yes, I have not got enough time. The second you pile into I've not got enough time, then what does that do to your system? Because you are a phenomenal creature. Body I do, sometimes it's interchangeable. You have a spiritual body. Now whatever is going on in your thinking body, your emotional body, your believing body will be manifested in your physical body, the shape you cut in the world and the way that people meet you. So I call that manifestation. That's your energetic body. Every possible way, people meet your energy. And your energy is influenced by the thoughts you're having about yourself, the world, and yourself in the world. And that creates an emotional response. And that creates a postural response. And that's what people, that's what people receive. They react to that. So whatever you are manifesting magnetizes a response. And if they respond in a way that I'd like you first of all to think about the phenomenal nature of you. And how many of the thoughts that you have are allowing you to be that phenomenal person you were born in new life. Because that new life, when it came into the world, it has no idea that it was male or female. It has no idea that it is good or bad, beautiful or not, intelligent or not. It has no concept of concrete form, but it has this cellular drive to grow and expand.
Bring people with me, you know, it's a
So
choice
you really
I
say
choose.
that to you when you
Yeah.
wake up, when you start the day?
Yeah.
Because that's
I choose to be
important.
me every second of the day, you know. That's why I can walk into a room wearing what I wear and not care what anything thinks. You know, it's like when my kids go, Mama, please. And I'm like, no, this is how I'm going out today. So, you know,
That's
so
lovely,
it's good to
Sonia.
hear that you're telling other women to do that. Because I think, you know, we should choose to be magnificent every day, you know, because we are.
You are, absolutely, we are.
This is
May I
exactly who
use
we
you
are.
as an example in self, or my focused self? It doesn't matter what that word is. But you ask yourself and you declare to yourself in the morning, I'm willing to show up for that by doing this. And the next question you ask yourself is, what am I committed to? So if you're willing to show up for yourself in every possible way to be magnificent, because your intention is to feel magnificent at the end of the day, what am I committed to? That would mean recognizing sometimes that there are curveballs. So that would be managing my state at the time that something takes me away from being magnificent or tries to take me away, managing my state, or handling conflict in a way that respects the other person. So you recognize the objections that might take you off course. And even if you whether you rate yourself or not, if you shift your state first thing in the morning into one of joy, and then you set your intentions, and then you make that the commitment to showing up to meet that intention, at the end of the day, then you go, okay, how much did this come to pass? We are all very, very powerful manifestors, but some of us are not using manifestation happily for ourselves.
A piece of toilet paper and brush it down the loo, because the minute you take it out of your head and it's gone and you see it physically going, you don't carry it with you.
Yeah.
So whether it's somebody who's pissed you off and some situation that's pissed you off, or a feeling that you've got about yourself, just get rid of it, because you carry it in your head otherwise. So it works.
It's actually a proven to work technique.
Bye bye.
I've had first-hand experience of Samia empowering other women, so I just wanted to say you do what you say on the tin.
I love you.
Thank you. Love you.
You lifted my soul when you came in with your colours today. It's absolutely gorgeous. People who limit us is us. And we use stories to limit ourselves. So if any of you are running any story that is limiting you, how much data that is true about you are you deleting to keep hold of that story? We all have them. I'm childless. How could I ever talk about being a decent parent? There are lots of stories that disqualify and that discount us, and I am all about eliminating those, writing those down on toilet paper and flushing them away. So just, I'd love to give you a whole masterclass on all of this kind of thing, but you're all clearly well-established, successful women. I want to say young ladies then, but we are all still very young in our spirit. So harness that. If you can move from what you've decided about yourself back into discovery, then there needs to be no stage of life in terms of our mental capacity, our emotional possibility. So benefits. People will respond to you differently. You will begin to repel people who no longer vibrate at the same level as you, and you will begin to attract people who vibrate at the level you're at. So you look at more possibility, you become more curious, we attract more learning. If we're closed and fixed, we shut ourselves down to ourselves internally, but also to the outside world. So whatever you can do, raise your vibration, think great thoughts about yourself if you can. Don't lie, be authentic. There's nothing worse than saying I'm 6 stone, in front of the mirror, and I can see that I'm not, right?
Yes.
Use present tense affirmations. I'm 6 stone, not true. Right? I'm fasting 2 days a week, true. I'm happy and comfortable, or I have enough, or I'm learning. So even if you can't say, I am the thing, say something that's positive and present and true, because that will give you what we call a kinesthetic response. So if you say something that is true and that feels good, it can seal in something. A lot of people sit there with affirmations and say, but I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. No, and that's why it's not working. So you have to find that window of truth in whatever it is you are saying that is an affirmation, and let that fill the cells of your body. Because it's the kinesthetic belief that makes affirmations work. Does that make sense? Yeah? So whatever you can do, find the physical yes response within you to any affirmation that you use. Somebody else, if you're doing something to prove to somebody else, you're literally pushing it in front of you. Whatever the thing you're proving to them that you are not or that you are, you're pushing that. It's really heavy weight. Nothing phenomenal about that, right? Journaling, it doesn't for me. So if it works for you guys, do it. Practice gratitude. So ask for what you want. Ask for what you want. Because if you don't ask, no is the beginning of a negotiation.
I would say it's not a no, it's just a not right now.
Right? And the thing, absolutely, because it opens up conversation. And it can increase connection. But be respectful. How many of us are direct in asking for what we want?
Not too much.
Yeah. I did, but as I was looking at this, I was thinking, I'm not
Growth, yeah.
Okay.
So there's asking and there's asking.
There's
sometimes,
asking,
asking for good health, I don't ask for that, but I should. Or asking, there's in a business setting is different to in a personal setting. So that's an interesting nuance.
Absolutely. And we will not hesitate in asking for what we want in a business environment. But as you say, if I say to myself that I want, it's about actually honouring what we say we want and then moving towards that and deleting whatever we can that shakes us from that.
And there's conditioning, isn't there? Social conditions. You could never say, I because that was just
No.
rude.
No.
Yeah.
And you know, there are lots of this from feedback. So
I practice gratitude.
how many of us practice gratitude?
It's mainly around today, so I think
Exactly
it's
right.
great experience.
Exactly right. If you can see, even in the moment, and sometimes when we're fully associated in it, it's so hard to step out of the pain that we are feeling. You know, and there are some things that in that moment we feel that there's no chance that we're ever going to see the other side of this. The second you are able to create sufficient space to say, and what's the gift in this? It's horrible, and am I allowed to swear?
Mm-hmm.
Can I swear? It's horrible and it's shitty, and I would never wish this on my worst enemy. You know, why is this happening to me? If you can switch that into, why is this happening for me? It's a really powerful tool that moves you out of hopelessness into purpose. This necklace said, it actually, our experience is what inspires who we become. So this word inspiration and phenomenal, you are all that. How many of you would like to create an inspirational and phenomenal experience for yourselves? How do you want to finish your day? How do you want to feel? What do you want to create? What do you want to discover about yourself again? Rediscover. When you look at your children, maybe they're young or whatever, and you see the potential in them, just ask yourself if you need reminding of the potential in you. And every moment that you have a thought that challenges that, ask yourself what you're deleting. And then read that for ladies.
Very.
Any questions? Any?
Right, but there's this need for a constant reminder about a daily practice and like a daily hygiene of our mind, like
Your mindset and willpower. So I'm a mindset and empowerment coach. Power of your will automatically follow, whether you intend it to or not. So if you are setting your mind on a negative, limiting, unhelpful thought about yourself, the power of your will feed that. So be very mindful of what it is you're creating for yourself, how you're showing up in something.
like such a dark place sometimes.
Great question. And we look at shape. We look at shape shifting and state shifting. So as human beings, we are the only species out there that generally does not shake its body. So a horse will neigh, a bird will shake every one of its feathers, dogs will shake. And that's the animal response to tension. Human beings over the years, how have they learned to research that shows that when you're jumping up and down, when was the last time you jumped up and down, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I was running this morning with my friend. And for
Slightly
me,
different, but
that's
you're absolutely right.
chatting and running and discussing life.
When was the last time you literally jumped up and down?
Yeah, probably a while.
My 5-year-old, when she meets her friend, she jumps up and down. Like, she's really excited to see her girlfriends.
Right.
And she jumps up and down, and it's like a mood change.
Right, it's a perfect
Yeah,
reset.
and we often say to the mothers of those children, we often say, imagine if we ran up to each other and jumped up and down. Like, to greet each other instead of a kiss, or if we were that excited to see each other.
Absolutely. And even with little kids.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, and I can guarantee you, if you were to spend a minute jumping up and down, make sure you will change your state. Full stop. There's a load of research, and actually I feel quite passionate about this because we've suppressed all of our physical, the glory that's this. When we try and make ourselves something, we stop ourselves from being our fullest self, you know. And there's loads of research that suggests if you have children and they're having a struggle with maths or a maths problem, and you get a little trampette, or if you have a trampoline outside, when they're really, really struggling, go, okay, let's go onto the trampette for 3 minutes, and you jump with them and they change their state, and quite often they will come back and then certainly their arithmetic acuity improves.
Brilliant at thinking this for my children. I think they're magnificent. I think they can do whatever they want to do, but I definitely don't apply that to myself. So I'm going to try and apply.
Right. So
I try, and some days I do it well and some days I don't, but I'm great at doing it for my kids. So I'm going to start being good for my
We forget things. We are designed. But it is that reminder that you are as magnificent as your child. Every time you look at them, and they're an expression of you, they're not an extension of you.
We made them. I mean,
You
that's
made them. You know, 1 in 10 to the power of 2,460,000. You and your partner, their father, that sperm, all of that coming together. So you are magnificent, you're unique, you're phenomenal. Your thoughts determine your experience of how phenomenal you are. Please fill your thoughts with fabulous things for yourself. And I wish you a happy.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
It's great.
Super great. Wow. Oh, she's amazing.
We love manifesting. I have the book for my daughter.
Oh, do you?
And actually